everyone, welcome back to the vlog. This week I am going to be doing a birth and postpartum Q&A. So a few weeks ago, I had put out a poll on Instagram to see what you guys wanted to know about my birth and postpartum experience. So I have a list of questions on my phone here, and I'm gonna try to get through as many as possible. Let's jump right in. What advice do you have for someone that is scared of labor pain and birth pain? So my advice for you is to really just study birth. As I've had 3 kids, I would say the first time that I was in birth, I was the most frightened because I didn't know what to expect. So it was the most painful because I didn't know how to cope. The second time, I kind of knew what to expect, but I still didn't prepare. And this third time around, I actually spent so many months preparing mentally. I went through a course called Christian Hypnobirthing, and I listened to those hypnobirthing tapes, their scriptures and prayers, walking you through just getting you into a state of mind where you are calm and at peace and really one with God. And it was just an incredible thing for me. I feel like this time around, actually doing that and preparing me for that made labor so much easier. I didn't even know that I was in full labor until like 3 hours before I had the baby. So I feel like this type of preparation was monumental for my labor and birth. So I would just say definitely hone into some type of hypnobirthing. I highly recommend the Christian hypnobirthing. It was one that really worked well for me and I loved it. It made my birth experience so much better. And also just knowing that you're getting this beautiful baby at the end. It is a short-term pain for a long-time gain. That baby is gonna be so worth it. So try just to pray and help God to ease your fear of that pain of the labor and delivery. How is the third postpartum compared to the other 2? This postpartum recovery was pretty easy. It was really nice. The only thing that was a little bit more difficult was the after pain. So I have heard this and people have told me that your afterbirth pains, you kind of have more contraction pains after you have the baby. They get worse with each baby that you have. And that was definitely true for me this time around. So that was probably the worst part of my postpartum experience. Outside of that, everything was a breeze. My mom stayed with us, so she helped me with the other kids and the cooking and the cleaning, and that was a godsend to us and our family so that I could truly just be with the baby and bond with the baby and just have time to rest and heal in my home. Do you plan to have any more kids and how many more? We would love to have more kids. We need a little bit of a break. All of our kids are 1.5 years apart in age. Lola and Bram are 18 months apart and Bram and Posey are 17 months apart. So they are super close together and we just need a tiny bit of a break. But we don't really have like a number set in place. We always thought we would have 4 kids, but it's just really what God will bless us with. So we will see. How were your post-birth pains? I kind of answered this in a previous question. So the post-birth pains were probably like the hardest part for me. They're especially painful as you're nursing the baby. So I used some drops and I'll be sure to link them in the details box below, but they are after ease drops and that really helped me a lot when I was going through those post-birth pains. So I highly recommend that. What is the biggest difference between hospital birth and home birth? So many differences. So I had a hospital birth with my first baby. Well, we started in a birthing center and we did a non-emergent transfer to the hospital because my water had been broken for over 24 hours. So we just wanted to make sure the baby had more monitoring and I got to have a beautiful birth in the hospital. The differences between home birth and hospital birth. In a hospital setting, it's very medical, it's very sterile. There are lots of regulations and, you know, even after the baby came, that was really the biggest difference because I was only in the hospital for an hour before I pushed Lola out, so I didn't get like the full labor experience in there. But after the baby came, it was kind of frustrating because there are people coming in and out of your room at least once every 60 minutes to wake you up or to wake your baby up, to take your vitals and do all this stuff that's completely and totally unnecessary to this exhausted mom and tired baby that are trying to sleep. And when you go and have your baby at home, They do all their checks and their monitoring. It's very like soft touch and like while you're holding the baby, and then they try to get out of your hair as fast as possible so that you can really have that one-on-one bonding time with your baby. So that's the biggest difference that I can say is after the baby comes, because I didn't really have the whole labor experience in the hospital. So that's the biggest difference for me. I loved being at home in my bed. I didn't have to wait to be discharged. I just got to have my baby, crawl into my bed and snuggle up. It was the best. I highly recommend home birth. It is amazing. I love it. How long was your labor? From the start of active labor all the way until baby was born was 4.5 hours. Did you tear? It was a tiny tear, not even enough to need stitches, but I did have a tiny tear and it really wasn't a big deal. So it healed super fast, didn't even notice it. How did you prepare for a natural birth? So I kind of answered this previously, but I did Christian hypnobirthing and that was amazing for me. The other 2 births that I had, my first and my second, were, I would say I was kind of fearful going into it, fearful of the pain and fearful of tearing, just like I had a lot of fear. And even though I was adamant about having a natural birth, there was still so much fear surrounding it. And I don't know where that came from, but doing Christian hypnobirthing this time completely changed that. I was excited to go into labor and I was excited to have my baby, and I was totally and completely at ease because of this month-long preparation that I was doing with the hypnobirthing, listening to these tracks, these prayers, these scriptures, and just having this one-on-one time with God every single day, preparing for this birth. I really felt God's presence as I was in labor and everybody was surrounding me. I felt safe and just totally and completely ready to have this baby. So that's how I prepared, was doing the Christian hypnobirthing courses, and highly, highly recommend it. I just can't say enough about them. How many weeks along were you when you had her? I was 39 weeks and 4 days when Posey was born. How are you doing with 3 kids, age 3 and under? First of all, thank you so much for asking, really appreciate it. We are doing really good, actually. I feel like Lola and Bram are playing so much better together now that the baby is here. And I think that has to do a lot with the fact that they're learning to be patient. I have to sit and feed the baby for longer periods of time. I can't always do what they're asking me to do right that minute. So this time with the baby has really been teaching them patience and me explaining to them that I want to help them and I'll help them as soon as I'm done feeding the baby. They're learning how to be patient, and that's a really good skill for them to have. So really, I think it's going super well. There are sometimes more tears. I'm a little bit more lax with my food, like, hey, here you go, have some chicken nuggets, or, you know, we're gonna have eggs for dinner, even though we had them for breakfast. So it's a little bit more like loosey-goosey, but, you know, we're getting by. We are thriving, actually, I would say. These kids are doing really, really well with the baby being here, and it's just more me trying to juggle everything, but I think it's going really well. And I'm super grateful for all of the support that we've gotten from friends and family, people that have brought meals to us and asked how they can help. Very, very grateful for the community that we have around here. Do you co-sleep? Yes, I am co-sleeping. The baby is gonna be with me for the unforeseeable future. And I always said it was until she slept through the night. Well, she's 9 weeks old and she's already sleeping through the night. She's like a dream baby, but I think that has to do with the fact that she's sleeping with me. So I have no intention to take the baby out of my room yet. Eventually we will, because Jeremiah and I want to have our room to ourselves as a married couple, but the time has not come yet. So last question, how is breastfeeding going compared to the other 2? Every single time I nurse, my goal is to make it at least 1 year. So that is my goal again with this baby. Breastfeeding is going really good. It was a lot easier this time around. I feel like the more babies you have, the easier it gets, because you just know what to do as you have more babies. So it's going really good. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining this birth and postpartum Q&A. If you have any more questions for me, be sure to put them in the comments below and I will be sure to get back to you. Until next time, guys, we'll see you later.